Since there is no beginning, no ending of the process of creative force, we must look at the deeper reasons that bring forth the material focus of millions of planets and of the solid forms that inhabit them. Not only the sands of the desert, not only the vastness of mountains, not even to the focus and splitting asunder of the changes of the world wrought by the minds of men that seek an everlasting understanding of why there must be a continuity, a change of that continuity in the focus of vibration only, and not dwell in the hopeless situation that the finality of death leaves that person destitute of what their higher ambitions would have been in their early years of activity and expansion of the soul in its remembrances, as well as its striving to understand its meaning to return to another earth, another birth, another self-realization of the constant wheel of cause and effect, the consistency of that which is within, the ways we call the reincarnation of life, the cycling of vibratory ratings, and to remember and to delight in the idea that what is not accomplished by your hopes and dreams and ambitions in one lifetime can certainly be fostered and perpetuated within the other energies of invisibility. And then again, the continuity of accepting another physical form and moving into the world with talents that have not learned through educational procedures, but rather the intuitional values that herald the focus of your pathway to the ultimate goal of your life of force. I come to you as one who was a former Dalai Lama, one who has sat in the councils of the ancient times of Lemuria and Atlantis, and even the times that are not remembered, of living within the core of the earth and living within a full recognition of powers that change any atmosphere to the total ultimate fulfillment. That is that hope, dream, and collective ideal of all humanity at the present time. And I, as Gandhi, entered your world time and again, and each time have been like an avatar, a savior, a teacher, living within the simplicity of life of which I had chosen. And those teachers of simplicity and of strong forces of love or compassion, or know the unlimited potentials of what they have in their identity, draw forth in the circumference of all worlds the enlightenment of the beginning of life, and its purpose to ultimately reach its Godhead, or to its own recognition of being a segment of that force of creation. It is probably known before, and no doubt written within the archives of forgotten temples, and in those forgotten memories, of which each has an idea of what focuses their desire to the ultimate cloud of creation and to immerse within it again. But that is a striving through many lives, through many endeavors, and whether it is a continuity on the planet Earth, whether it is in the outer regions of different energies, we shall call the clouds of experience, and in the continuity of those lessons learned, to once again see the greatness of spiritual oneness, of your equality of all things, and of your purpose to enter one planet of millions, to serve in the fuller capacity of opening that planet to forces of creation, and see it as what it represents, a simple stepping stone on the vast pathway of endeavor toward and in the purposes of life, and where each individual, each segment of nature, draws to the full experience of life the ultimate goals of what you call spirituality, whether it is of materiality, whether it is of etherical nature. It still binds you to the greater reason of your life after life, whether in finite form, whether in the infinite expression of all things. For each within their own humanity seeks the fuller meaning and lessons that they teach that are not mentioned as right or wrong, good or bad, but rather all as a collective unit of creation, moved to serve the ultimate adhesion or the collective coordination of all planets, once again merged into the oneness of the infinite substance you would know as the ether forms of life. So it is in your endeavors, moving toward that understanding of your purpose of being a party of continuity in life after life, yet realizing the beginning was in your delight as a force of energy to move into the solid or density of all life on all planets, and to enjoy it for what it represented as part of the etheric form of the fulfilling the laws of balance within what we term the solid and the fine energies that are needed to sustain the very essence of what you term creative life or a spirit. It is mankind in seeking a mortal form simply to express in a material world, to be able to touch that what is material and yet finding it impossible with only a spiritual force to touch that object of density. Thus, in the fullness of desire, in the want to sustain a balance between that which it could not be touched and that which was in the delight of the etheric of form, brought through desire and vision of being, the very bodies you wear out to the world. And over many eons of lifetimes and experiences, the refinement of the temple you call the body moves within the full attentions of its creative birthright as God in motion. And therefore, once there is a deeper enlightenment of the individual to recognizing his total potential of living within not only the finite world, but living constantly with the breath of life within him, and also constantly aware of the changing experiences that remind him or her of other lifetimes and of the law of attraction that draws all of these circumstances to each individual. And even nature reminds you within every journey, change, or experience. For the ultimate goals that lie before the world now is the force of peace, the force of water known as spirit, and the breath thereof known as prana, or again the life or force that flows through and around and in all things, and in your own fulfillment and attainment of spirit, draw you into the fullness of what gives you recognition of your purpose in the ultimate of all expression, which is far beyond the billions of years, for it is an endless, ageless, timeless experience to once again draw all things within the true focus of infinitude itself. It is of petty nature when mankind concerns himself with the prophecies of life, of his uncertainties, whether he should awaken each day to the reality of mortal strife, or whether it is his meaning to garner within his materiality all the riches of life, and yet find in the final analysis that he cannot deny the experience of change of which he initiates and is his acceptance of that change called death, and denies himself the total spiritual import of his unlimited potentialities, no matter what that desire may be. And yet within the greater force now moving across the total galaxy of which you dream impossible or possible, is the fuller awakening for the self-realization and illumination of creation, and that desire as a unit of all individuals to that ultimate goal of why they strive within a limited speck of dust in the fullness of creation, and want to know the true desires of themselves. So they bring the second law of honor into the being of the world, their own world of spiritual identity, to the memories of their soul experiences. And this is a moment when, in all the galaxies, they will reunite in the oneness of a creation of vibrational power, so that all can see their unreasonable approach to that which is reasonable when they see they are the potential of all that is creation, and not through the force of violence and hate and greed will they find an easement for their torturing soul. And I say torturing, for many are the individuals that in their sleepless nights experience the fears and anxieties that what they feel they need in the reality becomes an illusion, and they dare not resist that force of desire, but again desire more the meanings of their esoteric purpose. It is written before you in that which now moves across all nature fields. And yet, be assured, if you seek the Spirit, if you open the spiritual pathway, then at the proper moment of events, you will survive the very changes of your planet and of a small minority left upon it for a regeneration process of spirit. Some could say this is cruelty of the utmost design. But again, there must be an understanding with all individuals, be they of the ministerial or ecumenical councils of religion, that creation, not personified, is no respecter of the form of density of flesh or of planets. For the forms are changed constantly by the workings of man's desire. And whatever is destroyed regenerates itself into the same orbital kingdom. But there is that no ending, no beginning, but a full purpose to which in the ultimate goal is to all see that they move within the sublimity of a creative force. And that force, once you recognize it, allows you to build worlds through your orderly desire, to widen your horizons to a purpose far beyond what man attaches to it. As you feel there is an impossible dream, that though you strive to see its possibility which lies before you, still it is the ultimate now in the demand over the balance of life, that a world be cleansed, that a force of spirit reigns again supreme. For you to recognize that God is spirit and truth. Served within these ways, there is no interest in what pathway your life may assume. For you are the captain of that ship of hope. And whatever you do it with an air of dignity and with force and with freedom of self-expression.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gandhi. Every time I speak with you, I just get the chills. You are wonderful. When I'm in your company, I think of reincarnation because the Eastern philosophy or the Eastern religions all believe in reincarnation, I believe. But they have the fables and the truths in their philosophies. Could you please explain what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong in their philosophy?
Well, as been spoken before, there is no right or wrong. There is no up and down. There is no good and evil. As stated, the world, the force of creation, in all the millions of worlds, move in the moment of our spontaneity. And if a scene in a film of life gives one a negative reaction or a positive one, it fills that scene of life to give a collective whole of humanity a lesson learned that they must not forget. You had a man that entered your world and used the power of spirit to destroy and maim and kill and torture. And yet, this man Hitler, as you knew him, served as a teacher to a world that accepted a lesson learned that through the force of power beyond greed, one man nor a unit of men can survive. Thus war becomes a hopeless condition wrought by the minority through which the majority must suffer in the name of patriotism or in the name of liberty. It is within the outer Eastern beliefs and ideals that each man is an island of belief and order and balance within himself. And be careful when you look or see what a man or woman professes in a belief and idea is contrary to what they actually feel within themselves. For be careful of that one that expounds the only way of life and feels they have the only truths and assure you their total belief in the faith of those truths is one to be careful in monitoring their ideal or their flamboyant attitude, to recognizing within that flamboyancy that they are giving nourishment to what is not the actual moment of time in the body, but can be taken from various lifetimes from any given moment. So the worship of all is actually within their speaking to their own God force, and that is within them. But yet, they must have a crutch. They must have councils of so-called learned men of the cloth. But it is the fault of mankind, and not always the error of the leaders. For man seeks to worship an idol, something, and that has been so in all history. Now it is the time, if there must be worship, it is to worship that beauty of life that moves through the physical form.
Those are such wonderful words. You spent many, many years, and I'm sure many lifetimes, in the struggle for freedom. What was your, What was your greatest leap during your day in trying to get your country free from England? When did you know you had it?
You speak of leadership?
I speak of your leadership and the work that you put in to get India free from English domination.
Because it was a moment within the energies that I returned to guide and lead the multitudes of individuals that I would have guided in their sojourns with me on other times and on other planets. We were but figures of vibration upon the backdrop of reality. And it was that moment of seeking freedom, which is the cry in your world at the present time. Freedom from the anarchy of man-made laws that are not justifiable in the thoughts of peace and of compassion. And knowing in entering the world, I would be successful in the mission that I wished to accomplish. And knowing many of the individuals that I had known in eons of time past would aid me in my fullness of expression of the freedom away from tyranny.
Mr. Gandhi, what do you see happening in South Africa with the freedom of the black people living there?
In moments of rebirth of ideals of life, there is a mistake made that in granting a full liberty of the material concerns, that is freedom of want or from want, freedom of self-expression, and freedom to lead themselves into their full ultimate goals of peace. But I find wanting not only on one continent, in one land, the meanings of that liberty, of which they are not qualified to work with at the present purpose of life. They will have their freedom, but without a gentle guidance of spiritual design and truth, it will melt once again into a controlled civilization that reaps only a harvest of sadness and grief.
Well, the true story is that if they don't have spiritual beliefs, they'll never be free. And obviously you're saying they don't have the spiritual beliefs, so whatever they're doing now could actually be in vain.
There's a great difference between ideals and the belief system of life. I say they lack the vision, the meanings of clairvoyance, to see that they can rely upon the wisdom of spiritual forces and not build a world of mistakes that so suffer within your present confining United States.
Thank you, Mr. Gandhi. A moment ago, you explained that you came back at that time to help India. Now, could you explain to the mankind here, or whoever will be looking at this interview, what you mean and how it works for you to determine you're coming back to do what you did in your reincarnation? What happened before the reincarnation? You are now in spirit. And obviously, you can come back at another time, but what makes you come back to do what you do?
To serve the fullness of peace among all things, not just mankind, but a peace that can exist between all worlds of humanity in other star systems that are little understood or comprehended by the limited view of your learned men of your world. I returned as Gandhi, for India in its heritage and fullness of spiritual freedom was ready to assume the responsibilities of what is termed the spirituality of life, and to know that the teachers and the Dalai Lamas within the vast ocean of homes built within caves and mountains had worked the energies so that the possibility of peace could reign supreme in that one vibration. My work was completed, and it must be that in it being the body destroyed was to further the understanding that violence is not the way to a peace everlasting.
You bring me to another thought. What you're saying is you were born to do a certain thing, and when your time on earth was up, you died, or you went into another dimension. Now, this is true with everyone born, isn't it?
Born to a certain thing is an answer to creation itself, whether it is mankind, whether it is the birth of a grain of sand that in your mortal sleep drops itself upon the shores of your oceans. It covers your land with its lava of particles from other planets and galaxies, and gently in its vibration of life moves by an attraction of a law that states its meaning to serve the fullness of creation. And mankind moves across the full pulsation of life, little realizing that all things are a unit of oneness. And when that is seen, so shall there be peace in other galaxies that now war among themselves and cannot understand their strivings and fullness of life as they would like to understand it.
You speak really so wonderfully, Mr. Gandhi. You are such a leader, and you have so much wisdom. Nothing changes when you go off into your other dimension. You just remain with the same intelligence, the same wisdom that you've always had.
And yet the same limitations exist that you had upon earth. For your home of tomorrow is your feelings and thoughts of your present life. You have the freedom of will to build your home, one that is filled with love, free expression, and total compassion toward all life. Yet your choice is to build a limited home of the greeds and hates and the constant selfishness of mankind. That is to speak of Sheol, known as the grave. For man makes his destiny of tomorrow in every vision that he has, in every hope and desire. And the only negativity, pain, and suffering that he will experience in the outer life is the thought forms which he builded while on earth. So we can't say there is a satanic force operating within the realm of mankind to distort, to destroy the essence of your own creative oneness. It is the free allowable will that gives people the incentive to seek the negative aspects of what he views from a material understanding of living. And the lack of spirituality is what causes your world the great moaning it feels at the present time.
Mr. Gandhi, you are stationed at this time, or I'm saying stationed, I'm not sure of that word being correct, but you are in the outer realms of the dimensions known as the Ring of Fire, or within the Krishna forces, or the Krishna circle. And who are your friends? Who are your closest associates? What are they by name that we would know of here?
They would be numerous. They were men and ladies, as you know them, that in their time gave willingly of their service and their life to the cause of spiritual enlightenment. And you can look in your world of those that have served in the past, that I serve with even now. And let us say they are the doves of peace. They extend the fullness of their love of creation, the purpose of its compassion. And they move and vibrate within the great expansion of all Vishnu force, or what is honored in Brahma. So it's not to lessen it to whom I am associated with. But remember, as an individual vibration, I still have work to do, and I still work with other planets. And in the activity of same, still have an interest to view the changing world of which I left. That is your earth. And knowing that what I have done is help the cleansing process that now moves across the periphery of your galaxy.
I have one more question, Mr. Gandhi. This program that Elwood Babbitt and I are into in our talks with you and Jesus and whoever would like to come in, how is it accepted in spirit? What is being said?
Is it accepted on the mundane expression? It shall be served if it is done within love and truth and fulfillment of genuine concern to enlighten individuals, even though against all odds you hold forth in what is the regimentation of mankind in his thought forms and his true bewilderment of life. It is not necessary to reason why what you are doing, what anyone is doing. Even the gentleman behind your mechanism who seeks the greater expression to fulfill his mission of life. And it shall be so as long as he moves to the ultimate goals of his truths and simplicity and fulfill his role that has greater value in the changing world before him.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gandhi.
I leave you in a peace sublime, and I leave you to foster in your moments of reflection, your hopes and ideals, your ambitions, for they are far beyond what you have in the reflection of mortal thought. For you've seen it all, every lesson, every lifetime, every experience, and every body before you left the vast creation of all Vishnu force. May you go in the peace of your love and your understanding, for no one is the judge but the self within you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gandhi.